Focusing in on the lane here. Okay, we're beginning to get into an example of what I talked about just moments ago. See here on the screen the well-defined crack which goes all the way across the lane and in fact continues on into the inside lane. That appears that it looks like it may have been an original crack. However, these other ones appear to have developed in time since that initial one did. And it's interesting to note that many of them do not go across the entire lane. And just from what I can observe from this side of the road, many of them do not continue into the inside lane, which has less truck traffic. That sort of crack pattern becomes more and more frequent as we move on down the test section. Okay, here's another set. We're in the shade right here, so it may be difficult to tell some of this. You see the cracks are quite closely spaced right in here. To try to give some scale and perspective to this, see those cracks on either side of it that go all the way over to the edge of the lane are approximately 2 feet apart, slightly more than 2 feet spaced. And many of the other cracks, though, which appear to be in the development stage, are somewhat closer spaced than that, including one right up over there, which are 2 cracks which appear to be around 5 to 6 inches apart. Okay, we're coming up on station 3 on the test section right here. And we continue to see much the same pattern as what we've been describing. Although we start seeing, as I mentioned, more and more of these almost hairline type cracks. But here are some cracks which have opened up more so than some of the others that we noticed back on the other side end of the test section. The one very well defined, or 2 very well defined cracks crossing the entire lane, and then the other ones around it. Okay, here's another. There was another pattern. We'll see that up ahead even more so. One point that ought to be considered is exactly what we define as being transverse cracking, whether the crack must extend all the way across the lane or what. We see in here, it looks like there's some hairline cracking developing, which is also in the longitudinal direction, which may be a sign that punch-outs may be developing in the future on this. However, it's kind of doubtful that would happen because one is not going to lose support underneath this pavement, since there's concrete underneath it. An old 9-inch jointed plain concrete pavement. Here's some more of what I was talking about with the very narrowly spaced cracks, most of which do not cross the lane. I counted almost 100 cracks within this section. This is why it's what I mean by saying it's quite, it depends somewhat on how you define transverse cracking. If it's a crack that runs transversely, and each of them mechanic, then there are many cracks in this section, and there's no way I can detail them here on the side. Whereas if they're defined as crossing the entire lane, then they're somewhat less. I mean, this is taking a pattern that almost looks like alligator cracking, or fatigue cracking, although it's starting from the top down, and one wouldn't suspect that fatigue would begin in that direction or work in that direction in a continuously reinforced concrete pavement. There is still some truck traffic out here, as you can tell from that passing. Okay, we're up here at the end of the test section, and see what I mentioned about the implanted station 315 plus 00. Back down the test section, or up the test section, I should say, from the end of it. See where we began, this side of the bridge there. Moving around in clockwise direction. See, they're into a cut over there in the southbound lanes. You've got the crest of the vertical curve just up ahead of us, about 300 feet. Back around here, we are back over behind these woods. There are some houses as we're starting to get into the Macon area. There's Dennis Richardson. It's going to close in on him real quick. This will end the video for test section 134116 on IH-75 north of Macon, Georgia.